What if I told you that the flow state is not just reserved for professional athletes? In fact, every human being on this planet is built for performance. We are made to operate in the flow state. And there are a set of rules or steps that if you follow, it will allow you to trigger flow anytime you want. So today we'll talk about how the flow state works, the 5 building blocks for flow, and also a bonus tip if you stick until the end that will make it much easier for you to get into flow. Now, flow doesn't just appear out of thin air. It comes into play when certain conditions are met. Take a wall passing drill, for example. If you pass the ball constantly with both feet and you take 2 touches, that might be too easy for you and you might get bored. On the contrary, if you pass the ball only with your weak foot and you used only 1 touch, that might be too difficult for you and you might get anxious or frustrated. But when you do 1 touch passing with both feet, that is when the drill becomes challenging enough to stretch you, but it doesn't snap you because it's still within your skill level. And this is where you get completely absorbed and you're in flow. And that's why video games are so addictive. Because the first few levels, it teaches you how to play the game. They're tutorials. But as you get better, the levels progressively get harder, but they still remain within your skill level, which keeps you completely absorbed in the game. So flow does have a repeatable system that anyone can access to get into its state. And here are the 5 building blocks that you need if you want to get into flow. We all know that to achieve something, we need a clear, actionable goal that can drive us into that direction. What we do not know is that there are 3 types of goals that you need to set to achieve maximum results. Peak performance expert and author of the book, The Art of Impossible, Steven Kotler, calls them the MTP, or Massively Transformative Purpose, the High Hard Goals, and the Clear Goals. The MTP, just like it sounds, is massively transformative, and it's the kind of goal where it's a lifetime goal. So something like, I want to be the best footballer in the world would fall under this category. The high hard goals are long-term goals, or goals that are set so high they become really hard to achieve. So something like, I want to win the Ballon d'Or is a high hard goal. And a clear goal, well, it's a clear goal. It gives you clear, actionable steps that you can take to help you achieve the other 2 goals that you have set for yourself. Saying I'm going to train tomorrow is too vague, and it gives your brain permission to not actually go out and do the work because it doesn't know what to work on. But if you say I'm going to do 100 wall passes with my left and right foot, now that's a clear, actionable thing that you can work on, and you don't have to think about it when you wake up in the morning. And if you want to know what to work on and then how to improve on it lightning fast, then check out this video right here. Now that you have a clear, actionable goal, how do you actually get into that sweet spot? And this is where the second building block comes in. Now this is the heart of flow. It is the entry point of flow, and it's called the challenge skill balance. Basically what it means is, if something is too easy, you get bored, and if something is too hard, you get anxious or frustrated. So if you had to play football with your younger sibling who's smaller in size than you probably wouldn't want to do that because, well, you'd be able to bully them. But then at the same time, you also probably wouldn't want to play for a Premier League team because that would be too hard and you wouldn't be able to cope with it. But playing football with your friends in the park, or playing for your school team, or playing for your university team, now this might fall right in the sweet spot of your challenge skill balance. And researchers have also found that flow tends to appear when the challenge is about 4% greater than your skill level. So this is where you stretch but you don't snap. And since 4% is very hard to calculate, think of this as a 7 out of 10 difficulty. Whenever you're doing a drill or whenever you're training, ask yourself, is this a 7 out of 10 difficulty? Because if it is, you'll probably go into flow a lot faster. And once you found that, congrats, you found the sweet spot. But all of that will be wasted if you keep getting yanked out of focus every 5 minutes. Now, flow is extremely delicate as described by Steven Kotler. A notification or email or a ping on your phone, or even someone trying to talk to you when you're only giving them one-word answers, can actually yank you out of flow. And it can take about 20 minutes for you to get back in, if you can get back in at all. So you need to design your workspace such that these flow killers can't get to you. And when you're on the football field alone, hopefully this is pretty straightforward to do. If you followed the advice from the first block and you've already planned out what you want to do, basically go down to the field, do the thing, and come back. So schedule 90 to 120 minutes of distraction-free training blocks, because this is how long your brain can actually stay in flow. Now this building block is going to teach you how to activate flow. It's called ritual and environment. And basically, you have a few things that you do over and over again that help the mind get into the flow state faster. Think of these actions as a signal to your brain that says flow is coming. And this is also why most high-performing athletes have pre-game rituals. Ronaldo eats the same type of pre-match meals. Serena Williams will wear the same pair of socks throughout a tournament if she's winning. Steph Curry will take tunnel shots before a game, which then helps him to relax and get into focus mode. But it's not just one magical habit, but more so a stack of small, repeatable habits that can get you into the right headspace. For example, when I go out to do a wall passing workout, I always start with 50 one-touch passes and then I move into 50 two-touch passes. And then I take a 1-minute break and then I go into the actual workout. And the actual workout does vary every single time, but despite that, the first 10 or 20 reps of every single exercise acts as a trial and error set for me. This is where I just allow my body to get used to the movement and not expect too much, and the standard that I set for myself here is good enough. But this then allows me to get into a rhythm, which then helps me improve my standard and really raise the bar in the second set and beyond. So figure out what your primary flow triggers are and then use that to prime your brain to get into flow even quicker. Now, block number 5 is intrinsic motivation. This is where you find meaning in what you do. Things that you find curious tend to get your attention a lot more than your mom telling you to do your homework. Things that you're curious about then turns into passion, and when you're passionate about something, that's all you can think about, that's all you want to do. You go to bed thinking about it and you wake up, can't wait to get your hands dirty. But when you connect that passion to a purpose or something beyond yourself, now it has meaning. And when you have a purpose, now you want autonomy. And autonomy is basically the freedom to pursue that purpose. And when you have autonomy, now you want to achieve mastery, which is basically being able to do that purpose well. Now that we've gone through all 5 of those building blocks, here is the bonus tip as promised. And since you've stuck around till this point in the video, I'm going to give you not just 1, but 2 bonus tips. Now the first one is, you have to stop before you're ready. Say you get a 1,000 piece puzzle. You're excited, you get the puzzle out, you sort out all the pieces, and now you're ready to get started. You get started on the puzzle and you keep doing it until your brain has tired out. And now when you come to the puzzle the next day, you don't actually feel like doing it anymore because you have expended so much of energy on that puzzle, you cannot bear looking at it. The better option here would have been to stop doing the puzzle when you still had the energy. When all you wanted to do was to go back to the puzzle and finish it, that is when you should have stopped. Because this would have allowed you to come back the next day with more energy and less frustration and actually make more progress on that puzzle. So remember, if you want flow to last as long as possible, you have to stop before you're ready and you have to let flow carry over till the next day. Now the second tip goes a little something like this. You take a football and you step outside to do juggling and you tell yourself, I'm going to do 50 juggles, only to drop the ball at 12. And after trying over and over again, you give up on the number 50 and you just juggle for the fun of it. And all of a sudden, you hit 70. And that's because flow comes best when you're not forcing the action. And this is known as Wu Wei, or the art of not forcing something. Instead of forcing certain outcomes, create conditions where flow can emerge naturally. Show up with intention, but without any attachment to the thing. I know what I want to work on, but I'm not rigid about how it happens. Flow isn't a state that you do, it's a state that you allow. You can't force your way into the zone, but you can remove the barriers so that it makes it easier for you to get into that state. Thank you for watching. I hope you've gained something valuable from this video.